Bendisi taso sentilibone hilanga londichonela Bendisi tasone hilanga londichonela.
Growing up and experiencing life and its many challenges and struggles, the one thing I held on to was the idea that there are certain experiences, there are certain processes that we are supposed to go through that, make us better as human beings. They better our character, to say. We go through certain struggles, we go through certain sufferings just to sharpen a person's character. Pain for character development, if you will. This was like an idea that was so deeply engraved in my head. I believed it. It's an idea, that I grew up believing because of mainly the struggles around me, the sufferings around me, growing up in the township, growing up black. You start believing that there has to be a reason for all of these things. There has to be a reason for why these things are happening. There has to be a reason for why we suffer so much, because sometimes there are families, like entire generations of families, that will even die in like extreme levels of poverty. So you have to like find some sort of reason to trying to make sense of it all. So this is what I grew up with. This is what I held on to. So even when struggle happened, when suffering came, it was like our own version of the Job experience. It was our own version of, the trials and the tribulations that God has to put you through to become, to become a better vessel, I guess, in this life. So this is one thing that I unfortunately have to unlearn as I'm growing, because I don't believe we were brought here just to suffer. I don't believe we were brought here. I don't believe like life is a game wherein you have to pass some levels, and every time you pass a level, you become stronger for the next challenge. You become stronger for the next more excruciating challenge. I don't believe that to be the case. So road to suffering and life challenges, because that seems like the only constant in all of us. We go through different stages of life, and I believe that I held on to a belief that we shared some things as we grow older in life and as we grow through different stages in life. But the one thing that we can't seem to leave behind is suffering. It's all of life's challenges. The only thing that seems to happen is we pass life stages only to become stronger for more suffering, to become stronger for greater challenges. So, and that's what growth has been for me for a long time. But maybe the main reason in growth is to understand that not everything has to have a why. It's to understand that not everything that we go through has to have a why, has to have like a solid reason, especially since while we are still living here. Not everything you have to explain it in like simple worldly terms, in simple English, to say, like a linear relationship between your life and suffering. Even though, for most parts, I feel like because I grew up with like a biblical background, I grew up with a religious background, for the most preachings, the most part when they preach, they made it seem like suffering is like part and parcel of like being a godly person. It's part and parcel of being human and being closer to God, because they say nothing builds character better than suffering, which I don't believe we're here to live like 80 years of life still just building character for the sake of character development. That's I'm inclined I decline to believe that. So, like the Bible, in how it was preached, I want to make an excuse and say it was preached because of like the situations and the environment that the preachers found themselves in, where it was in the township and everyone was experiencing suffering of one way or another. So it was always preached in like the view of God ordains suffering. God makes us go through suffering so that we can be closer to Him, you know. And I don't know, man, because that would make God like a very sadistic person. It would make like the whole life journey a very sadistic one if all our experiences accumulate to suffering and struggle. So I say all of this to say I've been through a lot of struggle. I've been through a lot of suffering, like a lot of loss and heartache that for a long time that became like all I knew. That became like, you know, like the default setting of what a person should be like. And in growing, I realized that because I've attached so much to suffering, I've attached so much of the meaning of life to suffering, which is what I'm growing. I'm like, I can explicitly say I am unlearning, and I have to unlearn the fact that we have to suffer in order to qualify to be humans, in order to qualify to matter to like a godly being who loves us or who claims to love us. So I'm not sure if this unlearning this is gonna draw me like further away from God, but I know one thing is gonna draw me further away from the God that was preached, the God who relishes in my suffering, the God who finds joy in my tears, you know. And I don't want that to be the case, but all I know is from all this suffering that I'm experiencing, it's leading me to believe that there's no meaning. Like, there can't be meaning that is attached to suffering. There can't be, like, if we have to find purpose of why we are here, if we have to derive purpose from just suffering for suffering's sake, then that can't be the meaning of life. Then we can all just, you know, we should all just talk out and call it quits, man. We need discomfort in order to grow. We need discomfort in order to become better versions of ourselves. We have to let it go. We have to be able to, you know, to grow in comfort. Just because we are chasing a purpose, like life's purpose does not have to come through like the view of how much we suffer in order to get to our goals. No, I don't. That should not be the case. And I know this is really idealistic, and it goes outside of what we've accepted of what we have known of life and what we've accepted of what life is. But also, who's to say, you know, who's to say that life should be described in that way? Who's to say that life is only life through suffering? Like, life is only life through challenges, you know, and that purpose is only found in challenges and in suffering. So life has to find meaning in the things that I do. Life has to find, like, the purpose of life has to come in what I decide to chase every day, in what I decide, in how I decide to give to the world, in what I decide to give to the world outside of myself, without, you know, viewing my suffering as my great gift to life or my great benefit to God. And I'm sorry, man, life is already too hard as it is without us having a belief that God only accepts us for how much we suffer, and without us believing that we have to go through life challenges before we can even see the face of God. If that's what it takes, then give me zero, man.
Kaya kuzoba